Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Play It on Repeat podcast, the podcast where I go back and listen to some of my favorite albums from my childhood and review them front to back through the context of my current music tastes. Today, I'm going to be covering the Indestructible album by Disturbed. This is their fourth studio album, which is funny because I didn't realize I'd picked two fourth albums back to back, but I did. Um, this album came out in 2008, and it was one that was constantly in the CD player of my dad's car growing up. I have a lot of fond memories listening to these songs on the way to baseball and football games when I was a little kid. Now, I want to take just a second to read you a review of the album from when it originally came out. In a review I found on Metacritic, the critic says the album features a great number of their best songs to date, a couple expected stinkers, and some expected and unexpected lyricism. I think that sums up the album decently, as I do remember the few songs on the album we did skip almost every time we listened to it. But this album's highs for me outweigh the lows by far. Overall, the runtime on the album is 49 minutes and 9 seconds, that being across 12 tracks. I bring that up to compare it to the album we just covered, Injustice for All by Metallica. That album came in at 65 minutes and 25 seconds across only 9 songs. This album's average length of song is much shorter than Metallica's Injustice for All album. But honestly, that's not saying a lot because Metallica has ridiculously long songs. I have a lot of connection to this album, and because of that, I'm going to rank it as an 8.25 out of 10 nostalgically. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Track 1, Indestructible. This is the title track of the album, and it's obviously one of the singles from the album. This song, just at its core, is about war, and it's dedicated by Disturbed to the U.S. military. Disturbed was named one of the official bands of the U.S. military off the back of this song. And the song starts with an air raid siren and the sound of helicopters and gunfire. It's similar to One by Metallica in that way, which we just covered. They go straight into a nice bouncy guitar riff, and the alarm continues to go off throughout this intro. The verse then starts, and I love the guitar part behind the vocals that plays during the verse. The chorus of the song is also super strong. The song makes me just want to bop my head up and down the entire time. That's one of the things that I noticed the entire way through. It has a super nice rhythm to it. It also goes into a cool little guitar part with some weird effects on it before going into a solo. Solos weren't a thing really in early Disturbed, and it's one thing that I think really leveled them up. If I'm not wrong, I believe they started doing solos in the album before this one, their third one. The first and the second didn't have any on them. They then hit a chorus and end the song with a long drawn out heavy chord that just echoes as you hear the vocals from David fade out. The song is 4 minutes and 38 seconds, and this song is great front to back. I listen to it often. It's a great way to open an album. It's one of Disturbed's best songs in my book. It's a great way to set the tone for the album as well. I'm going to give it on this listen a 9 out of 10. Track 2, Inside the Fire. This is another single for the album. This song talks about suicide. It's one of those things that's it's hard to talk about, but Disturbed as well as Metallica tend to talk about tough topics. It's about a girl that David Draymond, the singer, was in a relationship with who took her own life when he was 16. He also talks in the song about the devil speaking or whispering in his ear, telling him to join her, and about how he contemplated doing it. The intro of this song is very cool. It starts with an electronic feel. Then a couple of power chords come in on the guitar, and then David does a maniacal laugh, which he does in a lot of songs. It's another song that just has great structure and moves so smoothly. Sometimes you don't even notice when you transition between parts in this song. The song's guitar solo is great as well, and just after the solo, we speed it up and get to a point to where it almost feels out of control, like maybe this is the part that kind of conveys David thinking about doing what the devil's telling him to do and follow his girlfriend. Um, or that's just the way that I saw it. You know, they once again go out on another chorus, the same way as they did in the first song. This song is very similar to some songs on "And Justice for All." Like I said, talks about tough stuff that a lot of people wouldn't talk about in their music, but Disturbed does that. It shares how an event um, like this, like someone close to you committing suicide, can affect you as a person, and it's it's a really good song for that reason. It's 3 minutes and 51 seconds, and the whole time you can hear in the vocal that it's a personal, deep song for David. He puts us all into this performance. With that being said, I'm also going to give this song a 9 out of 10. These are two absolutely outstanding songs right out of the gate for this album. Track 3, Deceiver. This song is about a destructive and manipulative relationship. It talks about feeling used, hurt, and being trapped in a negative cycle with someone. This song opens with a very cool guitar slash bass riff, and in the verses, for some reason, I feel like the instrumental parts and the vocals don't mesh very well, which is a weird thing. It just sounds a little off to my ear for some reason. Like it just kind of sounds like two different songs being meshed together and not in the best way. Um, I do enjoy the chorus of the song though. There's a weird whisper part right after one of the choruses that I'm not a huge fan of. It can be pulled off well, and it is pulled off well later in this album, but I don't feel like it is on this one. The song ends with the instruments abruptly going away and ends on a long high note by David. Um, I did like that. Just I enjoy his vocal performance. Overall, the song was 3 minutes and 49 seconds of okay. It wasn't offensively bad, but it didn't blow me away in any way. If I remember correctly, this is one of the songs that was often skipped in my childhood when we did listen to this album. I like the theme of the song and what they were going for, but I don't know that they pulled it off all that well. I had honestly forgotten this song even existed before re-listening to this album, and I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10 on this listen. Track 4, The Knot. This song is meant to lyrically portray the knot as a living entity that sets you free. The song opens with a very interesting, very distorted guitar part, and David comes in soon with his usual vocals. In the pre-chorus, the guitar settles for a second before revving back up for the chorus. The song takes a very similar song structure to the rest of the album so far. Um, the song solo is also the best for the album so far to this point, I personally think. The song goes out the same way it came in by bringing in that brings that cool guitar part back, and then it just ends like completely abruptly. I find the concept of the song pretty cool, taking a completely non-animated thing, something not quantifiable like the knot, and giving it all of this power. That's super cool to me. The song is 4 minutes and 46 seconds, and I did enjoy it very much, but maybe not quite as much as the first two tracks. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Track 5, Perfect Insanity. This song is described by David Draymond as toying with the idea of insanity, coming at you from the perspective of the person that is insane, warning people around him about it. Love interest in particular. This song is another one of the singles from the album. I personally know it from one of the WWE video games as a kid. I think it was in like SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, 2009, something like that. And I played those games a ton as a kid, so all of the songs that were on those games are burned into my memory forever. The song opens with a pretty cool drum fill and a nice guitar riff. One thing I really enjoy in the song, and I haven't noticed as much in the rest of the album, is the tuning on the snare drum. Like it's very, very tight in this song. The song has a part that slows way down that has an almost whispery part, similar to the one a few songs ago, but I feel like it's pulled off way better than it was a few tracks ago. I don't think it's a mind blowing song, but one that definitely fits within the album very well. The song is 3 minutes and 56 seconds, and I feel like it's a good length. Once again, it's not mind blowing, not bad by any means, but I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Track 6, Haunted. This song is described as being about a social pariah, about people who get their happiness from you being miserable. This song opens with the sound of thunder and a bell tolling. Another very cool drum part opens the instrumental of this song, and the bass comes in next. The main riff is very simple yet effective. David's voice in this song is beautiful as well. During the chorus, there's a spoken word part that I actually very much enjoy as well. The guitars clean up behind it while that's going on, the spoken word part, and then they immediately go back to the main riff as soon as the spoken word is done. This song goes out on the same drum part that it came in on, which I do enjoy a callback in a song to something as cool as that drum fill. This song is 4 minutes and 42 seconds long, and I really enjoyed it. I hadn't heard it in years, and I think I'm going to be adding it to my playlist after this. I feel like this is one of Disturbed's best deep cuts. It doesn't get talked about very often, but I feel like it really should. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Track 7, Enough. This song was written as a message to the world leaders who partake in war, telling them about the pain that they cause through these wars. They ask in this song, isn't death a good enough reason to not have wars? Once again, this intro is drum heavy, but the loud distorted guitar comes in very quickly. It's another riff similar to a lot of the others on the album, and I enjoy this one just as much as I do the other ones. This is another song where David has a lot of cleaner vocals in the chorus, and I enjoy hearing that out of him because he has a wonderful voice. It's just great. The song also has a small instrumental part that brings the energy down before cranking it right back up to 10. And I really like that they did that in this song. It's something that hasn't been done a lot in this album. Once again, the drum part from the intro comes back at the end, and we just fade out to end the song. Enough came in at 4 minutes and 19 seconds, and it was another solid song. Not the best on the album, but another that helps the album feel complete and whole, if that makes sense. All of these songs mesh very well, and there's something that's something I like to see in an album. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 on this listen. Track 8, The Curse. David, when asked about this song, said that the song is pretty much meant to be an inspiration to anyone who's gone through a lot in life, and to tell them that they can overcome anything if you just keep going. The song starts with a heavy guitar, just like most of the other songs on the album. Also has that electric sound, kind of lingering in the background, similar to one earlier in the album. He asks himself in the chorus why this keeps happening to him, and I could relate to that. I've been in that position before. Sometimes life kicks you while you're down, and you just have to look up at the sky and wonder why it's happening to you. But you can get through it, and that's the overall message of this song, and it's one that a lot of people need to hear. The best way I can describe the main riff behind the verses is bouncy, and I enjoy it for that. It makes me want to move, similar to the first song from the album. This is another song with a cool solo, not as overly complicated as a few on the album, but very good nonetheless. The track was 3 minutes and 24 seconds, and I honestly feel like it ended just as I was starting to feel like I was getting into it. Not that I wasn't into it all the way through, but I was really hoping for more out of the song, if that makes sense. That's the only complaint that I do have with it. I'm also going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Track 9, Torn. This song is described to be about a vicious and tormenting past that a person can carry, knowing that he or she has to live with it forever. This song starts on a 10 with a heavy riff and drums all at the same time. The guitar switches between this initial riff and a slower one for the verses. This is another song that has a strong drumming performance. It also has a very good guitar solo that brought the song up for me some because I wasn't very high on it in general up to the point of that solo, but it was awesome. This song was 4 minutes and 9 seconds, and honestly, for the first half of the song, it didn't grip me for the most part. Once again, the solo was awesome, and it got some extra points off of that solo. But with everything considered, I'm going to put it a 7 out of 10. Track 10, Criminal. This song is painted as a conversation with your inner voice after committing a crime, at the same time regretting but also understanding that the end is inevitable. The song is another that opens with a strong presence of the drums, and it has another whispery part from David right off the bat. After that, we go into one of my favorite riffs from the album so far. The riff drops out, and some more electronic sounds come in as David starts to sing. The guitar comes back not too much longer later. This song honestly reminds me of Another Way to Die, another song by them that comes along later in a later album. This is before them, so it's almost like feels almost like a prototype for that song in a way, like structurally. The song is 4 minutes and 15 seconds, and it feels like a quick 4 minutes, honestly. I enjoyed this song very much. It's one I don't remember from listening to it when I was a kid, but I think it's very strong. And I think it's the strongest we've had of this back half of the album so far. I feel like the album, in a way, feels kind of front heavy to this point. But this song is very good. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Track 11, Divide. This song was first done back before Disturbed got signed. It was called Circles back then. And the band wasn't even called Disturbed. It was called Brawl. But it was revamped for this album, and a guitar solo was added. Like I said in the earlier albums, they didn't even have guitar solos, so they added one for this, among other changes. This song is about being unique and individual. It's about standing out among everybody else. The song opens with a cool descending riff for a few seconds before slowing and settling into the verse riff. To me, this song stands out on this album. It does sound more like something you'd hear in The Sickness, their first album, more than anything else in the album. Obviously, that's not a bad thing because that's a great album, but it does stick out. It's just something that I noticed. One thing that was added to the song that it definitely needed was the solo. It took the song and definitely made it better. The song ends with David screaming "Divide" like 50 times in a row. Then it ends just abruptly. The song is 3 minutes and 36 seconds, and it's a cool one. Like I said, it gives me the vibes of earlier Disturbed, which I really enjoy, but I feel like it kind of broke up the cohesion of this album a little bit. With that being said, just ranking it as a standalone song, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Track 12, Facade. This song is about a woman in an abusive relationship who plans on killing the man abusing her to break free. It starts with a quick and heavy riff like the rest of the album, with a riff that to my ear sounds like guitars maybe tuned lower for this song than a lot of the rest of the album, but I didn't look that up to check. I should have done that. In this song, David uses that cleaner version of his voice in the verses, which I really like having that out of him for a bigger portion of the song than just the chorus. The drummer puts on another masterclass in this song with his performance as well. The solo in this song is great as well. Uses a lot of wah, which is similar to something like Kirk Hammett would have done in Justice for All, the album before this one. And it's also something that he didn't do in a lot of the other solos in the on the album, but I really enjoyed it. This song comes in at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. I think it's one of my favorites from the album. It's a very strong way for the album to go out, and I feel like everything meshed very, very well in this song. Like it very very much felt like it belonged together. It had a great riff, great drums, great vocals, and a great solo all in the same thing. It's almost as good as the two opening songs from the beginning of the album. So I'm also going to give it a 9 out of 10. All of that added up and averaged out brings the album to an 8 out of 10. So once again, I was pretty close to my original review. The review I read mentioned the album having some stinkers, and I do agree that it did have one, but only one in my opinion. Um, the rest ranged anywhere from fine in my eyes to great. The 5.5 out of 10 is what hurt the album and kept it from being as highly rated for me as it could have been. Um, but overall, a great album, just as good almost as I remembered it being. And I'm always really glad whenever I realized that I didn't just have rose tinted glasses, and this thing was as good as I remembered it being when I was a kid. With that being said, thank you once again for listening to another episode of the podcast, and I hope to see you again here soon. I am thinking about possibly maybe doing 2 episodes a week instead of one. It just depends on how much time I end up having. As of right now, I think I'm going to have enough time to do that, and I really enjoy putting these together, so I think I may do that here in the future. If I did, I think I would do a Monday and a Friday to kind of keep them as far apart, to give myself some time for studying up on these albums and give them all an equal amount of time. With that all being said, I hope to see you here again, whether it's on Friday or next Monday. And thank you for listening. Bye.